Good morning and welcome back, friends, to Iconic Freedom, the formula. We are setting the standard for accountability and responsibility, the ownership of your choices, and everything that follows from those choices. Let each care for self, and all will be cared for. So what is the formula? Well, I'm glad you asked. Every week we talk about setting a standard, and the standard is made up from elements of your personal development, my personal development, ideas that help us establish a standard that we want to live by, that has its foundation, its roots in being a responsible person, that we are able to respond to our choices, and that we're accountable for those choices, that and everything that follows, that whatever happens, we're going to figure it out and we will, find a way to fix it, basically. We take ownership of everything. So we go from a decision to a choice to the responsibility to the accountability, and then it goes back to the loop again. What's the next decision once we see the outcome? And what's so great about that is, once this becomes something that is integrated within you, you really stop thinking about it and it just happens for you. And for today's episode, I wanted to do something a little bit different again. We're still going to go down this journey. We're going to choose another story from the collection of the Christmas cookie, Stories from the Counter. And today's episode, I think, is an invitation. It's to look at a part of yourself that maybe you've been avoiding, because we all have something in our lives that kind of shakes us under pressure, right? A fear, a memory, could be a narrative, maybe, a story that we hold on to really tightly. And it becomes the very thing that keeps us unsteady whenever it shows itself, whenever it presents itself. And the real question isn't, when will it stop? The real question is, what am I choosing to hold on to when it starts? What am I relying on? Because what you hold is what holds you. I'll say that again. What you hold is what holds you. Whatever you hold on to, whatever you grasp at when something presents itself, no matter what it is, that is what's going to have a hold on you. And today I wanted to share a story, I think one that reveals, absolute clarity, what fear does and what choice can restore from that. This particular story is called The Young Man with the Shaky Hands. The shop had settled into a gentle lull. Christmas music faded into the background, and outside the first flurries of snow danced past the window. I was wiping down the counter when the bell above the door gave its shy chime. He slipped in like someone who didn't want to be seen, hoodie up, shoulders hunched, hands jammed deep into his pockets. When he finally set them on the counter, I noticed the faint tremor. Not overwhelming, but steady enough to catch the eye. He ordered a coffee without even looking at me, his voice barely above the music. Avoiding eye contact, he hesitated before asking if the special was still available. I gently smiled and nodded, always. I set the cookie down with his coffee. He didn't touch it right away, just stared at it, as though afraid of what it might reveal. Finally, he broke it in half and ate a piece. The shop faded, his eyes unfocused. He was carried back to age 14, standing in a school hallway outside the auditorium, too afraid to step inside. The spring play auditions were underway, and he wanted to try out so badly he could feel it in his ribs. But fear chained him there, whispering that avoiding humiliation was safer than risking it. Only this time, he moved. He opened the door. He walked to the stage. When his turn came, the words shook, but he spoke them anyway. The room erupted in applause. A warm hand landed on his shoulder. The drama teacher's voice was soft but certain. Showing up is the bravest thing you'll ever do. He blinked, and the shop was back. His coffee sat untouched. He wiped at his eyes, breathless. It was just one little thing, he murmured. He looked up at me. But it changes everything, doesn't it? I smiled. It can, if you want it to. He glanced at his hands, still resting on the cup. The tremor hadn't vanished, but it had softened, quieter now, almost unfamiliar. And for the first time, he realized what we choose to hold on to can steady us in body, mind, spirit. Will my hands ever stop shaking? He asked with emotion. The question isn't whether your hands will ever stop shaking, Karen said quietly. It's what you choose to hold on to when they do. He left the other half of the cookie on the plate, and he walked out into the snow, the corners of his mouth lifting like he just remembered how. Now, let's talk about this forensics when we look at this. And when we hear a story like this, the first thing, people want to often ask them, what they will ask themselves is, will I know? Do I know when I'm ready? When I'm steady? When the fear has loosened its grip on me, so to speak? And I would say the answer is yes, you will. And you do. You know the moment you stop reacting and start responding. And that requires one thing that we rarely talk about, but probably should do more often, and that is self-consideration. So what is that? Self-consideration is what I say is the pause between the tremor and the choice. It's the moment where you ask yourself, what is rising in me? Or what am I holding on to? Is this an old identity speaking or the truth of who I am now? Most people want stability, but without self-consideration. But you cannot anchor yourself to something you refuse to look at. And you cannot steady yourself with the wrong anchor, if you will. Fear is not an anchor. Shame is not an anchor. Avoidance isn't an anchor. Even memory is not an anchor. But what is? Clarity. Clarity is an anchor. Responsibility is an anchor. Accountability is an anchor. Reality, truth, these are anchors. The tremor wasn't a problem. The young man's hands, that wasn't the problem. The fear isn't the problem. The story isn't the problem. The problem is what you hold on to when those things rise up. Because they will, right? They'll keep presenting themselves. When you think you've figured something out at one level, life will present to you, your universe will present something to you to heal it at an even deeper level. So then that's where you want to look at, okay, I'm not trying to avoid the fear or avoid the story. Because if you grip fear, then you are going to shake more. You're going to feel anxious because it's unresolved. There's no order to your life in that way. If you grip shame, at some points, you just feel you're going to collapse. And if you grip the past, you're going to basically cower. You're going to, you're going to shrink in a sense. If you grip avoidance, well, avoidance will, I think, fracture in a sense. Because it just, you can't avoid what the reality is. But if you grip reality, if you grip clarity, if you grip the responsibility, you start to steady yourself. And the tremor may stay a little bit, but it no longer rules you. It no longer governs you. Showing up is the bravest thing you'll ever do, is what the teacher said to him. And Karen in that story said, it's what you choose to hold on to when they do. Those two realities meet the formula perfectly. Decision, choice, responsibility, accountability, identity, integrity, freedom. This is the root of everything that we talk about on this podcast. Life isn't happening to you. It's happening because of you. I had this thought about this thing called what I would call is the listener mirror. And so I say, consider this. There can be oneself in any of these stories. In this story, you are the one standing outside the auditorium. Or maybe you're one that is afraid to step inside your own life. You might be one whose hands shake when your reality starts to come forth. You're the one who has avoided the stage of your own becoming, of your own personal development. And you're also the one who can choose what you hold on to in the moment you decide to step in. So here is a question for you today. Where in your life do you hold, well, I want to say it differently. Where in your life do your hands still shake? And what are you choosing to hold when they do? Sit with it. That's where your expansion begins. That's where personal development begins. Where are you in similarity to the story? Where the hands shake, where you might be nervous the first time you have to speak to reality, take responsibility, be accountable, and sit with that. And that's when you know, when you start to breathe into that, when you start to move forward in the quality of those moments of integrity and character, that's when it's all going to begin. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that story again. Hey, hit that like button if you would. Share this with your family and friends. You never know how it might support them in their endeavor. All the fun links are below, and if you're inclined, feel free to subscribe on Buzzsprout. I am on X and Truth Social, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. My book, The Christmas Cookie, Stories from the Counter, available on Lulu.com and Amazon.com. All those links are down below. I'd be honored if you decided to delve into those stories and pick yourself up a copy. And until next time, stay sharp, stay sovereign, and as always, remember, let each care for self, and all will be cared for. See you next time.